nearly a decade now, it's been my very great privilege and honor to perform and to craft the Native American Style Flute. The flute has given me some of the most amazing and memorable experiences of my life and has taken me to some of the most exotic places on earth. It is truly an amazing and beautiful and magical instrument. I received my first flute from a very wise woman. She taught me everything in 5 minutes that I ever needed to know to play the flute beautifully. The way the Native American flute is tuned is a much older and much more natural scale. It's called a pentatonic scale. Penta means 5. This flute is based on a 5-note scale. Traditionally, there were only 5 holes put into the flute. The reason that this 6th hole is here, the one that I'm covering, I will discuss later. The basic 5 notes are these. This is different than the do-re-mi scale that we grew up with. These 5 notes, no matter how they are played, no matter how you mix them up, any one of these notes will complement one another. You can literally play this flute randomly by just mixing up these 5 notes. That's the beauty of this old scale. This flute also doesn't require any embouchure. You don't have to make your lips form a certain pattern or blow over it in a certain way like you would with a traditional transverse flute. You simply blow into the end of it like this, and it will make the sound for you. You can, again, literally just mix these notes up till your heart's content, and anything you play will sound beautiful. Probably the most difficult part of playing a flute is getting the holes covered. It takes normally a couple of hours to develop a sensitivity in your fingertips to be able to feel that the holes are closed. It's very natural for people, when first playing the flute, to place their fingertips like this in a down position. But as you can see, I'm not getting the holes covered very well this way. A better way to cover the holes would be to relax your hand and to lay your fingers flat, using the pads of your fingertips to close the holes. Once the holes are covered, you'll get a very low, beautiful, deep sound. Even the tiniest opening, say I were to open this just a little crack here, will cause that squeaky sound. So take a moment when you first get your flute, let your hands relax, and imagine that you can feel little moons under your fingertips. You would place the 3 fingers of your left hand on the top 3 holes and the 3 fingers of your right hand on the bottom 3 holes. The 3rd finger from the top, or the ring finger, is going to, just for this learning purpose, remain closed. This turns the flute into a 5-hole flute. Again, traditionally, this hole was not even drilled into the flute. The traditional plain style or Native American style flute had only just these 5 holes. So by plugging this hole up, we're turning this into a 5-hole instrument. These are the 5 notes, again, that no matter how you play, any one of these notes will sound beautiful. They'll all complement one another. No matter what order you play them in. Whatever hole or whatever finger I open or lift, any fingers or holes below that, and I'm wiggling those fingers, must come up with that finger. This will keep you on that 5-note scale. For example, if I lift this middle finger here, the finger below it, the ring finger, must come up with that. If I lift the 3rd finger, the 2 fingers below it will come up with it. Now, if I lift this finger, which fingers come up with it? That's right, the three below it, but not this one. Remember, we use this finger to plug up that hole and turn this into a 5-hole flute. If I bring the top finger up, this finger and the three below it will come up with it. This will keep you in the 5-note scale, and again, no matter how you mix up those notes, anything you play will sound very beautiful. This is what happens when you lift a finger up and keep a hole below it closed. The reason that the 6th hole, the one that we've been keeping covered, is put in the flute is this will allow you to play in a major scale. You can do a full do-re-mi scale on this flute by starting with the 2nd hole. This will allow you to play modern type songs, songs written in major scales, say like Amazing Grace. That is why the 6th hole is put on the flute. The 5-hole technique that I'm showing you, playing these 5 notes, this is only for learning purposes. Once you begin to understand your flute and you can express yourself with it and you're making music, please forget this as soon as you can. It's good to make sharps and flats, and you'll want to use this finger that we're covering up to play in the chromatic scale and to add different notes to your music. So this is just a beginning, just a guide, so it'll get you going so you're on your flute path making music. Here are some things to consider when playing the flute. First, and maybe most importantly of all, is your breath. It's the breath that makes the sound. One of the oldest words in the world for God comes from a language that is before even Hebrew times. The word is ruach. And the translation means simply wind through the end of a flute. That's the oldest word for God known on this planet. When playing the flute, it's so important to breathe, and to breathe naturally and breathe deeply. If you ask most people to take a deep breath, the first thing they'll do is take a deep breath and fill out their chest like this. That's not the natural way to breathe. To get a good full breath, you need to relax and breathe deeply into your stomach, filling your whole body with air. So when playing the flute, be sure to take many good deep breaths. This also will actually cause your blood to stay basic and keeps you even healthy. So there's a health benefit to playing the flute. But breathe often and breathe deeply. Take good deep breaths. And when you let the air out, when you play the flute, imagine that it's filling up the whole area around you with sound. Normally the flutes are very well protected. These have several coatings of non-toxic salad bowl finish, which is what is used on eating utensils, to protect the wood. A little beeswax for polishing will keep the flute clean. If you play the flute quite a bit, there will be a buildup of moisture. The warmth from your breath will cause this moisture to condense into this very small slot here. This is where the air comes out that strikes the wind-splitting edge here and makes your sound. Periodically, when you're playing your flute, this small opening, this small channel here, will get clogged up with moisture, and you'll need to do what's called clearing the flute. Simply blow once sharply through the flute, and you'll see a little drop of water come out. That's called clearing the flute, and you'll need to do that as often as necessary. This is the totem, or wind block. It's part of how the sound is made. The air that makes this sound comes out of this very small slot at the bottom of the totem. Now this is removable for cleaning purposes, and you can also make micro adjustments to the pitch by moving this totem forwards and backwards slightly. The flutes that I make are tuned to key, they're concert quality A440 standard, and they're tuned with this totem and this square sound hole here aligned with this slot flush against the back of this square hole. If this gets moved during transport or while carrying around, simply adjust the totem with the slot and the square hole, just like this. That's the perfect place for the totem to be to get the best sound. When playing the flute for extended periods of time, it's a good idea when you put it away to store it with the mouthpiece down. This will allow that moisture to drain out. Other than that, the flute is a very low maintenance kind of instrument. You can play it and play it and play it. You wouldn't want to store it in bright sunlight, just like any other fine instrument, in too hot of a place. The Native American Style Flute has become known as a courting or a love flute. That's because traditionally the flute was used for courting and marriage ceremonies. One of the traditions is when a young warrior wished to propose to the maiden, he would compose a very special song for her and then go and stand outside her lodge or teepee and play this song. That was his way of proposing. And if she accepted, she would come out with a blanket, and that would be her answer. The flute is known as love medicine, and like many flutes around the world, it centers around that theme. What a beautiful way to propose marriage to somebody with a song. At a ceremony many years ago, I was sitting on the side of the mountain playing my flute. A very interesting man walked up and he sat down and he sat and listened to me play for a while. Then he got up and he began to leave. I stopped playing and I said, "Excuse me, who are you? What's your name?" And it turned out that he was an old Tibetan monk who had spent most of his life traveling from one spiritual gathering to the next. He wished to learn the ways of different peoples, the spiritual ways. As he was walking away, he turned around and he gave to me the greatest gift of music I've ever been given, and I wish to pass this on to you now. He said to me, "Son, if you ever need the inspiration for a song, just look around you. Mother Nature will provide you with all the sheet music you'll ever need." He said, "Do you see that tree line in the distance there? You use those trees like a musical score. The taller the tree, the higher the notes. More fingers lifted. The lower the trees, the lower the notes. More holds closed." He said, "Just start at this end of the horizon and play that tree line like a musical score." He said, "Next time you go and sit beside a river, play that shoreline." I began to see music in a whole different way. A medicine man once told me that all of us have flutes and drums. Our voices are flutes, our drums are our heartbeat. He also told me that every time you make a sound with the flute, every note, every vibration, it goes out forever and it heals everything. That's a pretty beautiful thought. I hope that you'll enjoy your flute path, and thank you very much.